Okay, come closer. For those of you blaming Britain, blaming Portuguese for enslaving your African ancestors, I'd like you to know that our ancestors, they were into slavery for donkey years, for thousands of years, maybe millions of years before the coming of those Arabs. All right, so due to lack of documentation, nobody can actually tell us how slavery started in Africa or the first African society to start it. But from the little that has been written about us, we're able to discover that the Nubian people, they also called the Kushites, they are the present-day Sudan people, the Sudanese. They were the first set of, not that they started it, but record shows that they were part of the first set of people. And then Egypt and so on and so forth. Now we're going to take an account of Egypt and look at it specifically. So from documentation, we're able to understand that the African societies that practiced slavery in large, it was everywhere. They were busy capturing all their neighbors, their neighboring communities were the Egyptians. They captured the Nubians. They captured those Arab, that's the Middle Eastern countries, those communities around them. They captured the Sudan people. They captured all manners of people. And record has it that from 3100 BCE to 30 BC, you can imagine the early time. And look at the gap that slavery flourished before the coming of Arabs and European. European visited us, I think, 15th century. Look at the time we are talking about. 30 BCE to 3100 BCE. Now, how did the Egyptians capture their slaves? They use military raid. Sometimes when they need these slaves, they go and raid their neighboring communities. Sometimes they institute wars. And when the war is going on, they start capturing. They call them POW. Prisoners of wars. Okay, people they capture during the war. They use them to do their farmlands, build their city, do all manners of hectic and tedious work in Egypt. So those African content creators saying that, British came uninvited, blah, blah, you need to understand that Egypt invaded those neighboring communities uninvited. Do you know the painful part? According to history, when your kings, when I mean your kings, the kings of the ancient African society, when they notice that, they are slaves, they need slaves and on like that, and there is peace, for them to get more slaves, they will institute war so that they can capture slaves for themselves. Go and study carefully. I said, if you read the account of African slavery, you will blame yourself for blaming Britain. So pharaohs and Egyptians captured slaves through military raids by instituting wars, as well as buying slaves through the trade network. They also bought slaves. And any community these Egyptians and their pharaohs wage war against and they emerge victorious, they will make that entire community slave. Like they place harsh tributes, heavy tributes on them. And today, African content creators are shouting, France came uninvited, British came uninvited, they invaded our community. The same thing we are doing to ourselves. It wasn't new. If you've read about the MOU between the British people and the people of the Aroshukus were heavily rich with slaves. So the European, they named them, the British, the Portuguese, and the France, the German, they came and they met a system of slavery that was in vogue. That's what I'm telling you. Go and read. Don't let hypocritically woke generation that call themselves Gen Z or whatever, half-baked human being to come online and start misleading you. On 90 day, to na reason this one, they tell us, go chichichi, go chon chon chon. We know they pray, I don't go feel fool now.